It was a light practice for the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday as they're heading into an off day following 3 straight days of padded practices. I've got everything you need to know, including highlights from Monday's practice on today's KCS Update presented by DraftKings.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome into today's KCS Update presented by DraftKings. I'm Tucker Franklin, and as always, I am very excited to get you up to date on what happened up at Chiefs training camp on Monday, July the 31st. Today was a 10-10-10 practice. No padded practice for them today, coming off of 3 padded practice on St. Joe. It was a hot 3 days. I just kept thinking about being in pads those 3 days. Would have been awful. But they got a nice cooler practice on Monday as they did their 10-10-10 practice. And if you're unfamiliar with that concept of 10-10-10, keep hearing me say 10 over and over. You're like, Tucker, why do you keep saying that? It's 10 scripted plays for the offense, 10 scripted plays for the defense, and 10 for the special team. It's a very mentally focused practice, a very mentally focused day for these guys up at Chiefs training camp to kind of give their bodies a physical break, but to still work out their minds as well. One of the patented practice strategies of Andy Reid, and you're going to see a lot of the highlights here later. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes, you're going to see Sky Moore, Richie James, guys that you expect to start as this Kansas City Chiefs team gets closer to the year. You're going to see the ones go up against the twos, and these 10 plays are designed to win. They're designed to win. For the offense, when the starting defense goes out there against the number 2 offense, you anticipate the defense to win. And of course, on special teams as well, you get to see a whole lot there. So very excited to show you what all happened. Those guys will get an off day on Tuesday, the first day of August. They're going to be getting an off day, and then they'll be back on. The pads will come back on. That's a part of the new collective bargaining agreement. I think they can only have 3 straight days of pads before a 4th day. No pads, and then an off day following that, but then they can get back into the pads following the off day. So that's what they agreed to in the collective bargaining agreement, but not a whole lot of news coming out of Monday, which is good, especially out of these light practices, how there's not a whole lot of news. But I'm going to get you caught up on everything you missed through the weekend. I hope you had a great weekend, by the way, but got to get you caught up on if you did miss anything in the weekend. This is your in case you missed it section right here. So if you didn't see this on Saturday, Nazeeh Johnson tore his ACL on the first part of team practice as they moved practice inside to the indoor facility up there at Missouri Western. Rain kind of canceled the practice early to open to the public. They moved it up to the indoor facility. I believe it was one of the first plays on the team session too. Nazeeh Johnson goes down with that torn ACL. They placed him on the injured reserve, effectively ending his career, ending his season, I should say, not his career. I hope not ending his career. He was doing such a good job in camp. It's very encouraging to see how he was developing and how he was growing, as he had a big role last year for the Kansas City Chiefs on special teams. Was really hoping to see him kind of grow that role on the defensive side of the ball, and he was playing very well. Very disappointed to see that happen for Nazeeh. But not only did Nazeeh Johnson land on the IR, rookie undrafted free agent Isaiah Moore also landed on the IR as well. He'd been dealing with a knee issue. He'd been held out of practice. He left a practice early. I believe it was like last Tuesday. About a week ago, he left practice early, and he never came back, and it was announced over the weekend that he would need surgery and that he would be placed on the IR. Now, Matt Derrick does report that he did clear waivers and is now back on the Chiefs injury reserve, so his season will be done. He will be with the Chiefs. So that is good news there. I really liked Isaiah Moore. It's going to be really interesting to see how these 2 guys affect the roster composition of this team, because these are 2 guys that I had on my 53-man roster as kind of last guys to make it because of their special teams abilities. I think you can kind of write in Jack Conklin now in that linebacker position for that last linebacker, because he was a very versatile special teamer for the Chiefs last year. But Isaiah Moore did a lot of that stuff for the Chiefs early on too as a rookie. So in the camps, they really liked him. They were really high on him. Same thing about Nazeeh Johnson, a very good special teamer, but a guy who was working in more roles in that defense. Very sad to see both of those guys hit the IR and have their season done for 2023. It's a real bummer, but I'm interested to see how they do kind of step up and fill those roles that they have there, because as I mentioned, I did a 53-man roster projection previous to training camp, and I had both of those guys making the team. So those are 2 guys that I had on the 53-man that will not be on the 53-man But that's unfortunate. But good news is we didn't get any new injuries out of practice on Monday, which is good. These light practices with no shoulder pads on, you don't want no pant pads on, you don't want injuries coming out of here. So let's get to the injury report from today. Mike Dana is still dealing with that calf injury. Jody Fordson dealing with the shoulder as well. Kind of concerning that those two guys are still dealing with it. Mike Dana, if you've been listening to these videos, has dealt with the calf in the past. Last year he missed a couple of games with a calf. And Kadarius Toney, obviously, that knee issue, he did have surgery on, so he did not practice. Those three guys did not practice. Neither did Tershawn Wharton. Tershawn Wharton's on the PUP list, but he had a personal reasons he missed practice today. So he was not practicing as well. Not a surprise that he didn't practice because he is on that physically unable to perform list and will not be able to practice until he's activated off of it. So that is something to note as well. Good news, though, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not on the injury report. He'd been sick the past couple of days, and he's back in practicing. I don't know what was going around. I think it was Nick Bolton that was sick earlier in the week, too, so they must have some, bug going around. I don't know. I kind of woke up feeling a little sick today, too, so might be something going around up at Chiefs training camp that's getting passed around there from those guys. But that's it. That's all of the injuries. Thankfully, that's all of the injuries that we have to talk about. Injuries around the league are awful. We can dive into that tomorrow if you want. Actually, let me know in the comment section if you'd like me to talk about what's going on around the league in these different training camps. Because Tim Patrick looks like he's going to tear. He's injured his Achilles. He's going to be out for the season after tearing his ACL last year in training camp. Broncos aren't going to have him again, which is a real shame. I love to watch Tim Patrick play, and it's too bad because he's quite a good wide receiver. But let me know in the comment section what you want me to talk about tomorrow on the off day. I've got a couple ideas. I think I might show. I might do a couple of things, but don't want to show my cards too soon. But let me know what you want me to talk about on the off day. But while you're here, while I've got you, let's go ahead and show you some of the highlights from the 10-10-10 day. Now, I did mention lighter day. These plays are designed for the offense, the defense to win, whoever is in their session. So a lot of these deep balls you're going to see, you're going to look and be like, hey, how come that defense wasn't trying? Well, it's more of a mental walkthrough day for those guys, and it's more of a scout team as the second team defense is out there for the first team. But it's still fun nonetheless. But let's look at the first play here. This is a Sky Moore deep ball. He catches this ball while he's running across the field, a route that goes across the middle of the field. I want to see Sky Moore kind of get a little bit more of these deep balls. It looks a little fun to see him, that yard after catch ability and watch him do that. And it looks like this was something that Mahomes was really focused on. This practice was throwing deep balls, because this play right here to Richie James is also a deep ball. I like to see the connection between these wide receivers start to develop, and Patrick Mahomes obviously develop in training camp, and watch them get that timing down in camp. And you can see on both of these plays, hitting them in stride, hitting them where they can catch it, and then run after the catch, I think is really big. Mahomes really working on that deep ball today. I hope it's something we see come back in this Chiefs offense. Now, something that's taken away a whole lot, something I could really see come back for this Chiefs offense as well. Another thing that they've been working on a couple times, this is Sky Moore at quarterback. He's taking the wildcat snap here. It looks like Deneric Prince is right next to him, kind of faking that handoff, maybe a read option type of play, and he's going out around the edge. Sky Moore is. This could be a decoy play that they're showing for the Lions, right? That if the Lions are looking out here, if the Lions are seeing it, the Lions got to scout it. So I think that might be one of those plays, but not the first time, and I don't think it'll be the last time we see Sky Moore running the wildcat there. Here's an interesting one from the special teams period. Nico Remigio is one of those guys that is on the bubble in terms of wide receivers, an undrafted guy that the Chiefs brought in who's stuck around through camp and on this 90-man roster. Good punt return. You can see a really good punt return from him here. If he makes the roster, I think it's going to be a very big special teams contribution. Now, could he make the roster? I think he has a path with John Ross retiring. Obviously, Kadarius Toney and his knee issue. We've talked about that on a couple of KCS and updates about what are they going to do with Kadarius Toney and the wide receiver. They got to keep him on, because I don't think they're going to end his season by putting him on IR. And maybe Nico Remigio is a guy that gets cut but then adds back to the roster. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what he does. But also, you can see in this play, Tommy Townsend does get hurt. He did come off of the field after this play. but not on the injury report. So it looked like he might have tweaked an ankle a little bit, kind of landed weird. Nothing serious, though, was not on the injury report after practice. So no sweat for Chiefs fans there. And let's wrap up with the darling of Chiefs camp is Justin Ross. Man, he's been putting on quite a clinic. And as a guy who I don't want to say down on Justin Ross. I think I was a little skeptical of what Justin Ross would bring to the table. I've been greatly impressed by Justin Ross this camp. He's been putting together some really great routes, some really great catches, and even when the pads come on, he looked really good too. So I've been very impressed by Justin Ross this camp, and I think he's starting to get closer and closer to a roster lock when you start to look at the composition of this room, of this wide receiver room. He's starting to look pretty close to a guy that is going to be on the team starting on week 1. So very excited to see his development and see how he's been able to grow and get some rhythm down with Patrick Mahomes, everything like that. Justin Ross has been very exciting this camp. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of KCS Update. If you watched all the way to the end of the video, drop a lock emoji in the comment so I know that you are locked in to us here at KC Sports Network. We really appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end of these videos, staying up to date with the Kansas City Chiefs as they go and try to defend their Super Bowl championship. As always, make sure to like and subscribe to KC Sports Network. You subscribe, become a first teamer. That's what I'm calling you guys. The subscribers of KC Sports Network are first teamers. So become a first teamer by hitting that subscribe button. Everybody wants to be a first teamer. So I get you on there by hitting that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of the video. Also, let me know what you guys want me to talk about tomorrow. I've got a couple ideas, as I mentioned earlier. But I want to know what you guys want me to talk about too. I want to hear from you guys. So really appreciate you guys watching all the way till the end of the video. As I mentioned, I'll be back tomorrow. So until then, I'll talk to you guys later.